Wuxia BL, the Emperor, and the Divine Physician. Prologue: The Mandate of Blood and Breath. The chronicles of the Liang dynasty recorded Emperor Zhao Yuan as a ruler carved from frost and iron, unyielding, brilliant, and feared. What the histories omitted was the night the mandate of heaven trembled, when an emperor bled into the soil of a nameless forest, and a despised physician chose mercy over vengeance. Deep within the southern marches, where mist clung to ancient pines like unspoken secrets, fate prepared its cruel kindness. An imperial hunt, meant to display dominion over land and beast, fractured under betrayal. Arrows meant for prey turned toward the dragon banner. Steel flashed, horses screamed, and the emperor vanished into the green moor of the forest. At the same time, Shen Li, once celebrated as the divine physician of the inner court, now branded a traitor, walked the forest paths, gathering night-blooming herbs, exiled for refusing to falsify a death report that would have justified an unjust purge. He had learned to live with the forest as his only ally. When emperor and physician collided beneath the moonlit canopy, neither recognized the other beyond hatred. One saw a fugitive assassin, the other a tyrant who had destroyed his life. Blood stained the moss, breath came ragged, and heaven, amused or merciful, sealed the forest paths behind them. Chapter 1. When the Dragon Fell. The arrow struck Emperor Zhao Yuan just below the shoulder, tearing through silk and muscle alike. He did not cry out. Years of court intrigue had trained him. Pain was merely another enemy to crush beneath composure. He snapped the shaft, spurred his horse deeper into forest, vanished as the sounds of pursuit faded. Only when the world tilted and black spots danced before his eyes did he dismount. The forest closed around him, towering pines blotting out the stars. He pressed a hand to the wound. Too much blood? Poisoned, perhaps? Typical of his enemies, cowards who preferred shadows to open rebellion. Zhao Yuan collapsed. Shen Li found him at dawn. The physician had been tracking the silver-veined Lingji that grew only near old battlefields. Instead, he discovered an unconscious man clad in torn brocade, a dragon thread clasp half buried in mud. Shen Li's first instinct was to leave. Imperial silk meant imperial trouble. Then he noticed the fever. Shen Li knelt despite himself. Years of training overrode resentment. He examined the wound, sniffed the blood, and cursed softly. Wolfsbane derivative. Slow-acting but fatal if untreated. He worked quickly, cutting away fabric, applying powdered antidote herbs, sealing the wound with a paste that smelled of earth and rain. Only when the man stirred did Shen Li retreat, hand flying to the dagger at his belt. Zhao Yuan awoke to pain and a stranger's blade at his throat.
Chapter 2: Medicine and Mistrust. The fog did not lift. Shen Li discovered quickly every familiar trail had vanished. Compass herbs spun uselessly. The birds flew in confused circles. The forest, it seemed, decided to keep its guests. Zhao Yuan could barely stand. The poison, though slowed, still gnawed at his meridians. Shen Li fashioned a temporary shelter from fallen branches, ignoring the emperor's sharp scrutiny. "You treat me like a common patient," Zhao Yuan observed. "You bleed like one," Shen Li replied. "Hold still." Despite himself, Zhao Yuan obeyed. Days passed in uneasy truce. Shen Li gathered herbs. Zhao Yuan, weakened but alert, kept watch. They shared little beyond necessity: food, fire, silence. At night, Zhao Yuan dreamed of the court, ministers bowing with daggers behind their smiles. He woke gasping, only to find Shen Li pressing a cooling cloth to his brow. "You mutter names," Shen Li said softly. "Enemies?" "Everyone is," Zhao Yuan answered. Something in that honesty shifted the air between them. On the fourth day, imperial soldiers crashed through the undergrowth. Shen Li froze. If they recognized him, death would be swift. Zhao Yuan moved without hesitation. He seized Shen Li's wrist and pulled him into a thicket, pressing close, breath warm against Shen Li's ear. "Do not speak," the emperor whispered. For the first time, Shen Li felt the man's fear not for himself, but for Shen Li. The soldiers passed.
Chapter 3: Names, without titles. Poison finally purged. Zhao Yuan regained strength. He practiced sword forms in a clearing, movements precise despite lingering pain. Shen Li watched despite himself. "You're too skilled to be a merchant," Shen Li said one evening. Zhao Yuan smiled thinly. "And you're too knowledgeable to be a wandering healer." They exchanged names at last. "I am Yuan," Zhao Yuan said. "Li." Shen Li replied. "No titles, no past. Forest changed as weeks passed. Dangerous beasts, sudden storms. Once, a serpent struck Shen Li. Zhao Yuan sucked the poison from the wound without hesitation, spitting blood and venom alike. "You'll die," Shen Li protested. "If you die," Zhao Yuan answered, "there is no one left who knows how to treat me." The excuse was thin. They both knew it. That night, as thunder rolled, Shen Li confessed his exile. Zhao Yuan listened in silence, rage simmering beneath calm features. "Such injustice would not stand," Zhao Yuan said. "You speak like ruler," Shen Li noted. Zhao Yuan said nothing. Shen Li fell asleep. Zhao Yuan watched him by firelight, realizing with clarity that this man held the emperor's life in more ways than one.
Chapter 4. Truths Drawn in Blood. The forest's illusion finally cracked when an assassin found them. Steel flashed. Zhao Yuan fought with lethal grace, but the assassin's blade was coated in the same poison as before. Shen Li intervened, taking a shallow cut meant for the emperor. The antidote herbs were gone. "I am the emperor," Zhao Yuan said suddenly, voice ringing with command. "If you let him die, the wrath of the empire will hunt you beyond death." The assassin laughed and fled as the forest trembled once more. Shen Li stared at Zhao Yuan, blood dripping from his fingers. "Emperor? Zhao Yuan?" "Yes," anger flared. "You destroyed my life." "I upheld the law," Zhao Yuan said, then faltered. "Or so I believed." Shen Li collapsed before the argument could finish. Zhao Yuan carried him through rain and darkness, begging heaven for mercy he had never before asked. Chapter 5. The heart beneath the crown. Shen Li survived. When he woke, Zhao Yuan knelt beside him, crownless and raw. "I was wrong," the emperor said. "The court lied. I let them." Silence stretched. "Leave the throne," Shen Li said finally, "if you wish to atone." Zhao Yuan shook his head. "I cannot, but I can change it." The forest released them at dawn. Imperial troops knelt. Zhao Yuan did not let Shen Li be taken. "He is mine," the emperor declared. By choice. Later, in the quiet of a restored medical hall, Zhao Yuan dismissed all attendants and removed his dragon robe. "Yuan," Shen Li said softly. Li's hands trembled as he reached out. The kiss was hesitant, reverent, forged from shared survival and unspoken longing. No conquest, no command. Only two men who had chosen each other. Epilogue where mandate and mercy meet. The Liang dynasty entered a golden age. Corrupt ministers fell. False charges were overturned. Shen Li's name was cleared. His medical academy opened to commoners and nobles alike. At night, beyond the eyes of history, the emperor laid aside his crown and shared tea with the man who knew his scars. The chronicles would never record that the emperor loved a man. But the forest remembered. And heaven, satisfied at last, did not object.